All right, welcome back in. It is the morning ride right here on Texas Homegrown Radio, also DallasOnAir.com and Live 365 and all that might imply. Also the Facebook Live and YouTube. And, well, I don't even know what all we're on anymore. There's probably people that are watching on things that I don't even know exist. Something Elon Musk just bought, you know? Who knows? Well, I'm your host, Jody Lee. In the studio with me is my cousin. I guess I don't know how to exactly say it. Second? Would it be second cousin? I guess so. Cousin, yeah. But the only other artistic one in the family. I shouldn't say only.
The only two outed.
There you go. That's right. That's a way to put it there, yeah. The other ones are all hidden. But, man, I've always just respected your work and stuff. Monty has got the coolest life ever. Ended up in Paris, France, of all places, and did art stuff, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to let you tell a little more about it because, I mean, you've done so much, I don't even know where to start. You've done stuff with music. You've done stuff with painting, with like literature. Like, I don't even know what all you've done now. I've lost track.
Yeah, it's always it's always the biggest problem is sort of, how can I say, reducing it down to something that takes two phrases to explain it. But I moved to Paris when I was 19, 20 years old, and it's a
very
big change. Weird thing. Yeah, absolutely nothing predestined me to that. I grew up north of Fort Worth, and absolutely nothing predestined me to do that. So God, the universe, right? Whatever you want to call it.
Weren't you like in a coffee shop or something? I met some people, and that's how it happened? Or?
Yeah, I came back and worked and lived in Dallas for a couple of years in the 80s because I wasn't born yesterday, as you can tell. Because I was wanting to go back to Paris. I'd moved back to Dallas for a couple of years, and then just by chance in a coffee shop, I hear two ladies behind me interviewing somebody for a job, and so as soon as I could tell it wasn't going very well, the interview, and I was like, we're on the right road here. So as soon as the guy got up and walked away, I turned around and started speaking French to them, and because I don't look French in any way, shape, or form. They were kind of startled, but I got the job. It wasn't a great job, but I got the job, and that got me back to Paris again. I've lived there ever since. So that's been, I moved there in 1979 the first time, and 89 the second time. So
wow.
I've been there a very long time, and now I'm naturalized French, so I have both nationalities.
Wow, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, but on the work I do, basically one of the reasons I wanted to move far away was to, because I wanted to be creative, and I had in my mind, at least at the time, that just was not possible anyway for me.
Right.
To stay here and do what I wanted to do creatively. So, and at first I mostly was doing painting and sculpture. I just started doing it. I don't have any education. I now even am on the juries for the schools of architecture and arts in Paris, and how that could ever happen. Yeah, there are always like 2 or 3 doctors, right. on the juries, and then I always explain to them, that it's the total opposite for me, and basically that idea, if you don't, you can get an education, but the most important thing is developing your own value as a creative person, that supersedes anything else
that's awesome. And leave it to the Texan in the room to be the self-taught.
Yeah, don't fence me in. Yeah.
Now, is that a thing, like when you're over in France? I always heard, don't say you're from America, say you're from Texas, because it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you say you're from Texas and immediately they say, Dallas, and you say, well, sort of. But I did live in Dallas, and JR, and which I actually did. I worked with Larry Hagman and the whole crew back years ago when they were doing the final season. I got to know them in Dallas because I was working with the project over there. So it's it does give you a whole different level of, it's sort of like a mythological character, the Texan for them. So that does help. Absolutely.
We have our buddies that watch all the time in the mornings. Raphael, who was in the Netherlands, and then Jaroslav Jender, who was in Poland. And they actually flew in and got to come and be on the morning show here.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And I took them to Heart 8 Barbecue. Went and toured the fire station, and Yaroslav's buddy was a fireman back in Poland, so we got him a patch from Stephenville to take up there. It's pretty cool.
That's great, yeah. No,
But they were saying the same thing there. They said pretty much all of your this that way. Like they love Texas. They love Texas music.
yeah.
There's a lot of artists that go play over there, and I know in Paris they do some shows, some festivals.
Absolutely, yeah. Even in the little village where I live now, because I live an hour north of Paris, there is a square dancing, or there used to be a square dancing. I don't think they exist anymore, but there used to be a square dancing club in this local village of 500 people. So, and when you move into, of course, you move into a little village like that, and you're Texan.
They just assume you know how to do the square dancing, and you.
Well, and the thing is,
they want to know where your boots are and your hat.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, the thing is, and it's ironic because the work I'm doing today is no longer painting and sculpture. But when I went to meet with the mayor of the little village about some trees, basically getting them trimmed. And I said I was from Texas. Well, I walked into the room at the city hall, and there was a Texas flag and a cabinet in the corner, and there was a picture of a GI blown up huge, and not like a foot by 2 feet on the wall.
What?
And so when I said I was from Texas, the mayor and the deputy mayor started to stand up and salute me. And it was like, what is this about? I didn't know we had that good a reputation around here. But it turns out that the local hero of this little village was a Texan from Baytown, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, named Jerome Zyerland. And he, so basically he saved the village in 1944, and he's been the town hero ever since that day.
How awesome is that?
Yeah. The day of the liberation of Paris, they were bombing outside where they had lots of stocks of arms and things like that. And so his plane, there were like 11 of them, I think, these bombers, and the one he was in got hit. The other guys all parachuted, injected, but he stayed in his plane even though it had been hit, and the village people watched him make sure that the plane did not hit the village, but hit the forest next to it. And so he gave his life to save people.
How cool
he would
is that?
He would never meet. He would never meet.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
What are the chances?
You didn't expect that going in, did you?
What are the chances? Absolutely. That was just the weirdest thing ever to me. But I kind of had that all my life, where it's like these coincidences.
You really do.
Where it's like, who else could that possibly happen to? But so far they've been good ones. But yeah.
Well, you've done some projects over here too.
Yeah.
I know you're probably working on some new ones. I don't know if you can talk about any of those that you got coming up, but you were telling me there's some new stuff you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on it. I can't get into the detail yet because we're still trying to figure out how to make it all work. But in 2014-15, I was artist in residence with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and also worked with the Dallas Museum of Art on this project, which to me, for someone who left at 19 thinking he couldn't be creative, comes back, and there was an interview on NPR where I get really emotional, because it's like, not only do I come back as an artist, but working with the biggest institutions.
Yeah, that's some big names there
in Texas and even in the States. So, so it's that was a big project. A commission for 5 short films was part of the project that were shown with the Dallas Symphony on Memorial Day in 2015 in a concert with the Dallas Symphony. And so this project is sort of the next step after that.
Gotcha.
That project was called the Saluna Festival. It's mixing contemporary art and classical music. And so this project that I'm working on now for this area is it's called Storyteller. And it's basically working on this subject, several subjects, in fact. But one of them is the idea of, there's a project I'm doing right now called Santo Project. and it's about this young Texan who gave his life in 1944. That's the basis of the story. Half of it is filmed in Santo, where because in 2015, when I was doing the Dallas Symphony Project, I was able to buy the place of my dreams since I was a little kid, called Castle Rock Mountain.
Man, I remember just riding in the yellow bus from Stephenville to go play games, and we'd go past that place, and I always thought that was the coolest place. And now I've got to be inside of it. You know?
Yeah, no, it's another one of those fluke things where, you know, there was nothing. I wanted to have a place here in Texas, but I was thinking more Fort Worth or Dallas or something like that. And then, you know, just a fluke thing. I drove up one day, you know, when I was out driving around looking for a place. I had no money, so that was just kind of crazy to even look because I didn't really have the money. But I drove up out front and there was a for sale sign, and so
got to make this happen.
Yeah, it took me a year to negotiate it down to where we could afford it, and then through a lot of the people who support my work, we were able to raise the funds to buy it and make it sort of our headquarters here in Texas.
It's pretty
in
awesome.
The United States.
And we got to do a really cool thing out there one year. He brought a lot of artists that were from, I guess, Paris and around there. Mm. And then I took a lot of the Texas Red Dirt people from here and just had a big jam, and it was the coolest thing. Yeah. And my friends that I took out still talk about that, how cool that was.
Oh, that was an amazing evening, and it was like so many things in my life. It was kind of just a last minute thing we just decided to do. It was a little awkward, difficult for me because you know, the young people that I brought were all rappers or R&B singers, things like filmmakers, and the thing that was incredible for me was that they felt so uncomfortable. Because they told me, they said, but you didn't tell me about this, so tell us about this. So we didn't do any rehearsals and preparation and all that.
They're used to everything being perfect and practice and...
Well, perfect, I don't know, but yes, practice and being ready for something. Spontaneity. I'm French now, so I can trash the French a little bit because I am one now. This idea of spontaneity it exists, of course, like everywhere, but it's true generally in the culture. This idea of just doing something and enjoying it and not, you know, getting in your head. It's something that's a real problem and at least for these young people, that was the problem. Is that they were too much in their heads.
And I took people out there like Carrie Lick and Billy Hartman, and
it was amazing.
They were all just passing instruments around and making up songs. And
we all fell in love with Carrie. She's absolutely a sweetheart and an incredibly talented artist, and you know, as well as all the others were. And I think that's the thing that shocked them is because. They you know, this idea of being prepared and all of those things, that there are that many people with that much talent, you know, true artists, that maybe they build houses in a day. I don't know, but you know, it's just the simple love of doing what you do, and being so happy to be able to do it, and you know, that's a bit where there's a bit of a difference, at least with this group of young people. But it was an amazing moment, and you know, one of those things where I've always seen you, you know, for all of my life, you know, knowing you and seeing you grow up, and the fact that, you know, you've really taken the things and done incredible stuff with you know, whether it was furniture or music or whatever you've done.
It's always got to be something creative.
Yeah.
You know, I decided at a young age that I didn't want to make any money in life.
Yeah.
But I was going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, I remember years ago, there was an older painter that I knew who was quite famous. And I said, you know, I don't know. I feel like I'm not, you know, making any money at it yet, or very little, not enough to really live and everything. And he said, Monty, look, artists, you have to accept that you kind of live the life backwards. Most people, professionals, they make the money young and then retire and you do whatever with that money at the end. Whereas, that's part of the artist's way is knowing that, it's something that you build over time. And, if there is success, it depends on the person. Some people have a break or, have the right ends or talent or whatever that get them there young. But the majority of us who, struggle with the creative
The long
process,
haulers is what I like to call us.
Exactly.
It's too late to get a real job now, Dad.
Yeah, well, there's some point where, I think there's a respect for what you do because you've done it so long, and what you've built, even if it's not money in the bank, so to speak. It's like when I started my nonprofits. I remember my banker, I went to ask for a loan to get the nonprofit started, and he said, but wait a minute, you're doing this backwards. Normally philanthropy is something that you do once you become a millionaire.
Right, what are you
don't
doing?
Start with nothing and start with a nonprofit, that's going to do nothing but cost you more money for many years.
My whole career's been nonprofit.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, well, but, and there are times, I'm sure the same for you, where people say, okay, Monty, you're exhausted all the time, and you're always stressed, and you got to give up something, and it's
you can't.
How do you give up something that's the love of your life?
It's almost like a disease.
Yeah,
I've tried to get real jobs. I always come back to doing what I love.
Yeah.
It's always music. It's always something in those lines. But.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but that's the ultimate wealth for me, and that's what I try to I tell myself constantly that wealth is the possibility of getting up every day and doing what you love.
Yeah,
is something that most people don't have that opportunity.
Exactly.
So it is really, for me, I consider a great wealth. That doesn't put more zeros in my bank account, but well, it keeps it at zero.
There you go. As long as we break even, we're good.
Exactly, absolutely.
I saw a thing where Jim Carrey was doing a speech at a college, and he was talking about how his dad could have been a great comedian, except he took a different route and got a safe job as an accountant. But then when he was 12, Jim was 12, his dad got fired from that job. He goes, so I learned that you could fail at doing what you hate.
Yeah.
We might as well go after what you love, you know?
Absolutely. It's the road less traveled, as
I hear it all the time from people, and they're like, man, you're so lucky you get to do what you love to do. And I'm like, you can too.
Yeah.
And it's like some people forget they have a choice.
That's absolutely
like, oh no, I've just been doing this and I hate it, but
Well, and the thing is, I mean, for me, coming back now and looking at American culture and Texas culture, especially after so many years away, it's something that I feel here that I don't feel in France. Here, there is a constant sort of stress and movement, like everybody's, on this, movement forward and with no brakes.
Right.
And that's something that you get, you get caught up in really fast if you.
Everybody's so worried about surviving, they forget to live while they're
exactly
doing
right.
it.
Except these artists that I've seen from here, and that's something that is amazing for me, because I buy this place back in Texas, and I think, okay, well, I want to create a nonprofit for creativity in this area, showcasing in a way, or making more evident this local creativity. And I thought, but is there anything here? Because I didn't know.
Right.
And what's amazing to me is that not only is it here, but it's in this incredible abundance. It's maybe not something you see on the surface every day.
It's around.
It is there because, well, my neighbors on each side, the ranch south of me, she's the president of the nonprofit today, and the ranch on the other side, she's the vice president of the association today, and they're both photographers and writers, and
that's awesome.
And their kids are all in films that I'm, film projects that I'm working
surrounded
on.
by it.
So,
you had no idea,
and that was just within walking distance of Castle Rock. And then when you brought the musicians out, I was just blown away because I thought, wow, which one of these does not, which one of these doesn't deserve to be, known for what they do?
Yeah.
It was like that quality of work. And it's like, well, okay, well, it's that thing of the human creativity and the whole artistic process is something that it's evident. It is everywhere. It may not be the first thing you see, but it's, I work with an architect and he's very famous. And one day I just met him and he shows a video of this place and he says, how is it possible that there is nothing in this place? And I stood up at the end and said, well, the image you just showed, that's a centuries-old watermill in the trees that you can't see.
Yeah.
And that it looked, yes, from the outside, it doesn't look like there's anything there. But the thing is, that's where the nonprofit has been, and we worked with the Louvre Museum, and we worked with, the Manil in Houston, and and so the thing is, I know a astrophysicist that's an amazing guy, and he said we drive through a place with tinted windows and we think we've been there. I said, okay, I've been to Stephenville, Texas, but they never got out of their car and they're looking through tinted glass and saying, okay, well, I know this place, I've been to this place, but they haven't been to that place. They know nothing about what is there. And I think that's the real basis of the work that I try to do and our nonprofit Face tries to do is using that, exploring to find that creativity, and then looking for ways to make it more evident, but then also to how that can become a way for people to come together and have social exchange and get to know each other in a different way. Than we normally meet each other.
I think that's important. We were talking about that before we went on the air. Like Dallas on Air, I love that we're on their thing on Dallas on Air because it's different genres and people get to experience things they're not used to. And I think people get stuck.
Yeah.
Why do you have to just like one thing? You know what I mean? Try something new. You might be surprised.
Yeah.
Go see an artist you've never seen before. Go see somebody in a different genre. Yeah. Eat something different that you didn't eat last week.
Yeah. And that's the real trap that we get into because everything is so segmented and separated, segregated. I lose my words sometimes, which sounds really pretentious. But
it's because you speak two languages, or how many? You probably speak more than two languages.
Well, no, just French and English fluently. I speak a little bit of Arabic and a little bit of a few other things.
Enough Spanish to get you in trouble.
I know, Spanish definitely to get me in trouble, especially because I learned that here, and so in Spain it's not quite the same thing. So in the words I learned, as you always do, you learn only the bad words first,
right.
And so you forget exactly what they mean in that language, and you get yourself in real trouble.
I had a friend in college that took Spanish. He didn't take it in high school, but he was Hispanic.
Yeah.
And he failed, and he was so mad. He was like, "This makes no sense."
Yeah. No, learning a language is learning a language is really, if you're not completely immersed in it, I would have never learned French if I hadn't been totally immersed. There's just no way. So some people maybe have a gift for that, but it's a long-term engagement learning a language. But back on this question. No.
I always do that. Take the off-road.
If I'm like an octopus, where it's all going every directions at the same time. But I think that this learning from things that we don't know and experiencing things we don't know are something that is a huge vector for changing your own mindset and opening it up constantly. I compare it to these projects, especially between France and Texas, it's, kind of like the necessity of a mirror, that somewhere if you don't have that outside object or person or whatever it is to reflecting back at you who you are,
right,
and then also knowing how to better yourself is because you can see what you're like, because people before mirrors existed, I can't even imagine what that could be. But the thing is, it really is for me. It's that mirroring.
They had
that
to
we
get someone
need.
paint them so they could see what they look like.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right.
That was the first selfie. Was the guy painting them.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a friend who's an artist that we worked with, and he just did a project, and he went to Paris, and he filming or photographing the great masters. Of course, would create a block around their face, looking for being able to identify facial recognition. And so he did a whole series of projects about this question of social facial recognition,
Creeps me
but
out a little bit.
it is very creepy. At what point do all those pictures that we have out there? How are they?
They got everything, like fingerprints. The whole use your fingerprint. It's so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facial recognition. People don't read the terms. They don't the terms and agreements.
No.
And
in France, there are laws, where you have to click on something to agree all the time to that type of thing. So for when I come here, I'm always surprised that there's not this automatic thing nonstop saying, "Do you agree?"
Yeah, it's like a one time, and then you've agreed to everything.
That's exactly right.
That's what Sunny Day was saying this morning. He said fighting with his wife was like the terms and agreement, because eventually you're just gonna check I agree.
Yeah. You don't agree.
Don't know what was being said,
but
I
not
just
get very far. You're not getting very far for sure.
But it is scary, man, to think about all the rights we give up freely.
Yeah. And I remember back when Facebook, early in the story, there were all these things about, well, I have nothing to hide, so what's the big deal? But then nobody really knew, or I didn't know at the time, this whole idea of AI and how they can profile you, and they know exactly what you've been buying.
Sometimes I just talk about stuff, and then I get on Facebook and there's an ad for it, and I'm like.
Yeah.
We tested that on the morning show one day. One of my interns, he started talking about dog food. Didn't have a dog, never looked up anything about a dog.
Yeah.
We just talked about dog food on purpose. And as soon as we got off the air, he pulls up his Facebook and it had an ad for dog food on his phone.
Crazy. It's crazy. There are no limits. There are absolutely no limits. But,
it's for our safety.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's why we agree to everything.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It gets too complicated. And so we're always trying to find ways of making it simpler and thinking, okay, maybe it's not, that bad, So we just keep doing it.
Sounds like my past relationships. I can figure out why. I can suffer a little longer. I can probably make it not that bad.
Yeah. We've all been there. I can tell you, like the frog in water, and you're turning up the heat little by little, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, suddenly something's burning. It's me. Yeah.
So how long you get to be in Texas? You got to go back pretty quick, don't you?
I'll leave on next Monday to go back. I have several meetings about this project that I'm wanting to do here in the area, and trying to get as much stuff in there as I can and try to get the wheels working. But and the center of the project, at least at the beginning, is the Santo Project I was talking about, where about this based on the story of this young Texan that gave his life. But it also includes, in these images and the film, it includes music. So one thing we're looking at is trying to bring. I work with an Argentinian concert pianist from the project, and also work currently with 2 Spanish Baroque musicians who play instruments from the 17th century, which is absolutely
I'm a broke
amazing.
musician.
Do I?
I'm a broke musician, but it's spelled different.
That's not bad. Okay.
I'm not poor. I'm a Baroque artist.
There you go. Oh, not bad, Jody. Yeah. So but again, and it's that. So the idea is to sort of bring some of those artists, or at least a couple, over at
awesome.
Christmas time next year. Or this year, sorry, and do some work with showing some of the images that were filmed in Santo, were also filmed in France and in Paris, and then with that live concert with the Baroque
Oh, that's
musicians.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's the big project. We'll see.
Well, is there a place that people can keep up with what you're doing and all these projects? And
Yeah, there's we're on Facebook and Instagram. Well, you can just look up my name, Monte Laster, or you can look at Association Face. There's association_face.com, and then also the Facebooks as well for both of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
and there's a way for
out.
people to be a part of the nonprofit too, right? So if they want to get involved in that, and
Absolutely. So, and we're open to, as you said at the beginning, it's not just one form of creativity. When I started doing this, what's called social practice or social sculpture, one of the things of it was like, okay, what do we limit this artistic process? Do we limit it just to painting and sculpture or film, or you put no limits on
That's
it?
right.
So it really englobes everything that is, part of our lives. I've done 3 years now. I've done an exhibition in our little gallery space at Santo called "Everybody's an Artist," and it's really inviting everybody to come in. And there's a great quote. Of course, I can't remember right now who said it, but it says that until art history takes into account everything the humans have done creatively since the beginning of time, it's not really art history. It's just the history of art and money.
Oh, that's true.
And
wow,
so,
yeah.
So it's really, there's a German artist that inspires me a lot, and named Joseph Beuys. He died in the 1970s. But he coined this phrase, "Everybody's an artist." He was at the very pinnacle of what it was to be a contemporary artist during his life. But he used that for this platform to say, everybody is an artist, and there is that creative process. That's why I said that about us, being the outed ones, is because they're
Everybody's
everywhere. But it's a different form of creativity, but it is there, and that's something you can see it in kids.
Yeah.
When you work with kids with art, you see it immediately. Everybody has that capacity, and they have it.
I got in trouble in school all the time. The teacher would be like, "Quit playing with your food." I said, "I'm not playing with it. I'm creating art."
Yeah, well, mine was rocks. My dad would take me out hunting or fishing, and I'd be looking for rocks, and he'd be like, "Why do you want that rock?" And I said, "Well, because it looks like so and so and so and so." And it's like, I don't see that. I'm sorry. It just looks like a rock to me. And that's when I think they first started going, "Oh no, what's going wrong with this one?" It's like pancakes. The first one's the first one's a mess. It maybe still tastes good, but it looks like a mess.
Right.
So I guess I'm the first pancake in the family.
Maybe that's a thing. It's the firstborn.
I think it can be a part of the thing for sure.
I was joking with my sister. I made a meme because I got pretty much the same health problems as my mom does and my dad. And I made a meme that said, "I'm so mad at you right now." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because Mom and Dad gave you everything." And then it listed heart disease, bad knees, bad back.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, it's it's definitely
the first important thing.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. But
well, man, I wish we had more time to talk. We got to get out of here. The more shows coming up on Dallas On Air, but be sure to check out Monty online and, of course, Face. That's a cool thing. So, man, thank you for taking time to come in.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun.
Keep us up to date of everything going on. So
we never have time enough to have these kind of exchanges outside of here.
We have to do it live on air.
There you go.
How do y'all catch up? Live on the air, so everyone can be a part of our conversation.
Exactly.
There was probably people chatting along even, and I wasn't even paying attention. I was just going off on random things, but I need to get better about that, of talking back and forth with people. So thank you, everybody that tuned in. We did appreciate it. Thank you to our great sponsors. Got to thank them before we get out of here. Of course, the Morning Ride brought to you by some great people like Premier Stogies. If you're into fine cigars, check out premierstogies.com. You can also find those in different locations, including one of our other sponsors, Red Barrel Bar and Grill, where we'll be Thursday with the great Case Harden. That'll be awesome. Tyler Airmore will be my guest tomorrow morning, and then he'll be playing tomorrow night out at the Red Barrel Bar and Grill. So some great music coming up this week. Tyler Airmore, and then Case Harden. And a lot of you may remember Case on American Idol. So that'd be a good one. The morning ride also brought to you by Andy's Tire Service, keeping you rolling down the road with new tires or roadside assistance. It's Andy's Tire. And Brazos River Air Conditioning. For all your air conditioning and heating needs, check out Brazos River Air Conditioning. They can fix you up. Also brought to you by Howdy Enterprise. That's right, Howdy Enterprise, taking over the state of Texas and beyond when it comes to garbage service. Also, the porta potties that we renamed the Howdy Duties. You can actually hashtag that now. Hashtag Howdy Duty. Because if you're going to do your duty, do it in a Howdy Duty. They also do land clearing and fence building now. So check them out. Howdy Enterprise. And brought to you by Cannonball Insurance. If you think you can't afford insurance, well, you may be wrong. Check with Cannonball. It's Cannonball with a K. They call Rebecca the number one reason. So she's one of the top in the country. And she can always find a solution or do her best to find a solution for your insurance needs. And brought to you by Twisted J as we broadcast from the Twisted J Studios. Thank you, Monty. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Until
Jody.
next time, y'all, take it easy. And if it's easy, take it twice.